Hi everyone, I'm Joel, the director of GrowthSpot. First of all, thank you for giving me an opportunity to explain what GrowthSpot is and how you can make the most out of the opportunity we provide. Before we go into further details, let me give you a brief background of who I am and what led me to create GrowthSpot. I'm a first generation immigrant who came to Australia as an international student at the age of 22. I didn't have friends or family here when I first moved, and I struggled a lot to adjust, just like all new international students. However, I was lucky enough to find a part-time job within 2 weeks of my arrival, and since then, I've done many jobs to support my studies and stay in Australia. From a very young age, I was good at managing money and finances, and hence, while I was a student here, I always looked for opportunities to save and invest. I quickly realized that property investment in Australia is a safe and reliable avenue to build long-term wealth. I spoke to a few people to whom I had access at that time to help me understand more about investing, and I entirely relied on their opinion and bought my first investment property in Melbourne at the age of 24. When I look back, I'm happy about the fact that I was able to buy an investment property within a short amount of time. But I feel silly about the fact that I entirely relied on their opinion to make such an expensive investment choice of where to invest. As a result, I lost thousands of dollars from that single purchase and hundreds of thousands of dollars in opportunity cost. There were many great locations I could have chosen to invest in at that time. But unfortunately, I, like most investors, relied on random opinions without trying to understand how things work. Until then, I never felt the need to engage any professionals, as for me, property investment was all about choosing a suitable property that you can afford from realestate.com or domain. The people around me advised me to stick with that property and wait long term for results, because that's the strategy they've used for themselves. And it's so unfortunate to say, some of them are still waiting for that magic day to wipe out their mistakes. The problem with this approach is you're relying only on hope, and that's not how one should invest. Success from property investment will be very far from you if that is your current strategy. I quickly realized my first mistake and tried everything to learn more about investing and do it the right way from very successful property investors. I became highly dedicated to finding ways to invest strategically, and in this process, I spent a lot of money on different kinds of mentorships, buyer's agents, trainings, read many great books, listened to numerous good podcasts to upskill myself, etc. The real change happened when I started combining all of these learnings with advanced technology. I started following a systematic and data-led approach in which all the short-term and long-term drivers of growth are considered before choosing any location to invest. With this approach, there was a significant mindset change as well, and as a result, I started treating it as a business. In business, every decision should deliver measurable value, and there is no room for opinions not backed by data. I was able to pick top locations in Australia to buy for any given budget. I've purchased several properties by following this approach and even helped many of my close ones to achieve superior capital growth. Within a short period, I was able to build a multi-million-dollar property portfolio across different states that now generates six-figure annual income for me and my family. Today, I see many people around me making the same old mistakes and wasting their wonderful opportunities in this country. When I try to understand the reason behind this, they are predominantly one of these two. First, they don't know whom to engage for right decisions and expertise, and because of that, they tend to make decisions based on mere opinions, which often result in big mistakes. Secondly, people know that good buyer's agents can help them to avoid mistakes, but they are not willing to pay a considerable fee of $15,000 plus for every property purchase. Of course, you could go with trial and error method, but it is a good option only if the damage caused due to error is negligible and easily reversible. However, as you might have already guessed, mistakes can cost you a fortune in property investment. The risk you are taking by not getting the important things right is very costly. The other trend that recently popped up is doing some introductory property investment seminar or courses, which claims to change things overnight for you. Let me make it very clear to you. Don't be fooled by thinking you can successfully construct a bridge just because you have studied civil engineering. It takes years of experience and dedication to get things right, even after having access to the correct information. Just because property purchase is not rocket science, and anyone with sufficient deposit and borrowing capacity can buy a property in this country legally, you may or may not be able to differentiate between the benefits and opportunity cost. This is regardless of whether you did it all by yourself, attended a course before purchase, or engaged a licensed professional buyer's agent. People often try to do everything their own, with or without realizing the long-term impacts of their decision. Mistakes in property are often difficult to understand unless someone with enough expertise investigates them. So, for most people, it has already become too late by the time they realize the mistake. I want to help people to get the two most important things right for property investors. These two factors will decide how far and how big you can go in your investment journey. More than 80% of results come from just these two factors. Most people understand the importance of location in property investment, yet they get it wrong due to not having enough understanding of all the short-term and long-term data factors. However, only a very few people understand the importance of timing the market correctly. There are many great suburbs in Australia. You may or may not know some of these. But just because that's a great suburb and fits your budget doesn't mean you should invest there, because every suburb has a particular time to enter the market to get optimum results. If you miss the timing, you will likely pay a lot more than what you should have paid otherwise, and a long wait to see any equity build-up, which is a terrible outcome for property investors and prevents you from building a good portfolio of quality investment properties. Most so-called gurus and buyer's agents will try to convince you that property is a long-term investment and you can't expect to see results immediately. It is because of their inability to find markets that are about to kick off. With the use of advanced data-driven insights, it is possible in this day and age, and it can set you up for success faster. Early growth is extremely important, as compounding is the key to building intergenerational wealth and legacy. Timing is of critical importance in all investments, especially in property. I say this because it can save many years for someone to save enough deposit to purchase a property. Let's say you have saved up $100,000 in 5 years and are ready to buy a property now. The only way you can purchase the next one without wasting another 5+ years is by taking the equity out of the current property and using it as a deposit for the next one. If the first one doesn't grow in value, you will have no other option but to wait on the sidelines while other sophisticated investors progress towards their goal. Many people blindly invest in locations where their friends or family have invested a few years back and achieved growth. The problem with this approach here is they haven't considered the variable timing. It is important to note that property markets don't grow linearly year on year. Instead, there will be a short period of significant growth followed by long periods of negative growth or stagnation. Thus, the shortcut method followed here will not give them the desired results. I want you to understand one concept here. Let's take an example of a restaurant. Imagine you are the owner and you have big plans to make it a very successful one. What it means is you will have to find and hire the right employees with proven skills and let them do their work while you oversee things and make crucial decisions. This will ensure that the customers get what they want and they will be happy about it. Thus, you can grow your business. But suppose you try to do all the work yourself at the restaurant to save employees' salaries. In that case, you're most likely compromising on quality and service. You thus will have a horrible customer experience which will hinder the growth of your business. So the amount you saved by not hiring people with enough expertise has saved you poorly. This applies to every investment decision we make in life. The important thing to consider is always your return on investment while doing business. GrowthSpot is created with one thing in mind: help all aspiring property investors choose the best possible spot in Australia to invest based on their situation at a very affordable cost. Investors can specify their requirements, and we will do all the hard work and find you the best place that matches all your requirements. By requirements, what I mean is, you can tell us that you're trying to buy a property between $400,000 and $500,000 and you expect a minimum weekly rental of $500. If you have any state where you don't want to invest for any reason, you can tell us about such geographical constraints as well. But my recommendation is not to close doors too soon unless you have other compelling reasons like diversification, land tax, etc. Once we get your requirements, it is our duty to ensure that we filter all the 15,000 suburbs in Australia and find out the ones that match your needs. We will then apply all the short-term and long-term drivers of growth, combined with our expertise to find the best location in this country for you. It can be a bit challenging to get a suitable property from our chosen location, as there will be very high demand and lots of competition. But don't stress about it too much, as we also have got some great tips to help you there. If you're happy with our service offered, we can even help you to connect with all key contacts required in our property investment journey, including investment savvy mortgage brokers, conveyancers, accountants, property managers, quantity surveyors, building and pest inspectors, etc. Plus, for a very limited time, I'm offering many other invaluable bonuses without any additional cost for you. If you still have outstanding questions, please visit our FAQ page, as it is loaded with all the common questions that people often ask me. Finally, if you cannot take action today, do yourself a favor and subscribe to our newsletter to ensure you get all the educational content, delivering a ton of value for free. I wish you all the best for your investment journey, and thank you.